Welcome to the Foundry by Forge College. If you followed along with our last explainer, the Guided Implementation Lab, you know we've been super busy. We built out some really incredible, raw, modular components for our advanced ERC-721 NFT project. But, well, right now those components are just that, raw parts sitting on a workbench. Today, we're going to take those parts, put them under intense pressure, and harden them into an absolute indestructible Web3 machine. We're diving into rigorous testing, gas optimization, and everyone's absolute favorite topic, documentation. Here's the blueprint for this explainer. We're going to cover 1. The hardening phase, 2. Crash testing, 3. Tuning the gas engine, 4. The operator's manual, and 5. The final debug report. Let's get right into it. Kicking things off with Section 1, the hardening phase. So I want you to picture your smart contract code like a high-performance engine block. You've milled all the parts, sure, but they haven't actually been tested yet. I mean, we can't just drop that into a race car and hit the gas without some serious quality assurance, right? We have to completely change our mindset here. We're moving from speculative coding, just hoping it works because we didn't see any immediate errors, to verifiable engineering. And that means mathematically proving this engine works under literally every conceivable edge case and having the receipts to back it up. To pull that off, we use a really solid 4-step verifiable workflow. Step 1, you run and triage your test suite to find the cracks. Step 2, reproduce those specific failures completely in isolation. Step 3 is instrument and measure, basically figuring out exactly how much computing effort, or gas, a function is burning. And finally, Step 4, refactor. This is where you apply targeted fixes that boost performance but entirely preserve the behavior. Moving right along to Section 2, crash testing smart contracts. If your code is a vehicle, think of your test suite as a multi-million-dollar high-speed crash test facility. We're orchestrating 2 different types of impacts here to make sure everything is perfectly safe. First up, we've got unit tests. This is like taking a single brake caliper, mounting it on a workbench, and applying massive pressure to see if it snaps. You're testing just your ERC-721 core module in total isolation. Then, you have integration tests. Now that's testing those exact same brakes while the car is flying down the track at 60 miles per hour. We want to make absolutely sure all the components work perfectly together, from minting all the way to identity checking. A perfect example of where you desperately need a rock-solid unit test is EIP 2981. This is the industry standard for calculating NFT royalties. Look, if a creator expects a 7.5% royalty payout on a secondary sale, your contract math better be flawlessly accurate. But here's the catch. Smart contracts don't really do decimals easily, so we use something called basis points, where 7.5% is represented as 750 basis points. You need a highly focused unit test that passes a mock sale price into your royalty module and strictly verifies that exactly 7.5% comes out, right down to the lowest fractional token unit. No rounding errors allowed, none.
But what happens when that test fails? Well, you have to triage. Don't panic and rewrite the whole file. First, just read your failing assertion messages from top to bottom. They are your first and best clues. Second, isolate the logic. Write a tiny minimal test that reproduces exactly that single math error without any other unrelated stuff muddying the waters. And third, check your storage reads and rounding errors. Honestly, in Solidity, bugs usually just come down to reading the wrong state variable or losing precision during integer division.
All right, Section 3, tuning the gas engine. Once the crash testing is clean and your math is just perfect, we shift gears to performance tuning. In the blockchain space, computing power actually costs real money, which is paid by your users as gas. If your engine is heavy and inefficient, nobody is going to want to drive your car. So to tune this engine, we use a gas regression test. This is our primary performance diagnostic tool. It involves capturing the exact gas used metric from a transaction receipt, making a change to your code, and then running the test again to definitively prove your tuning actually worked. We want hard numbers here, guys, not guesses. The tangible impact of a good refactor is honestly massive. For example, by taking a targeted look at the SafeMint function, specifically by consolidating multiple storage reads into a single local variable, the gas cost literally drops from $120,000 down to $98,000. That's an 18.3% cost reduction for the end user. That is the real power of making the machine lighter and faster. Now, when we make these incredible gas optimizations, we are performing what's known as a behavior-preserving refactor. We want a faster engine, for sure, but absolutely identical external behavior. If your optimization accidentally changes a revert rule or somehow alters the minting logic, that's not an optimization, my friend. That is a bug. You absolutely must run your full regression test suite after every single gas tweak to ensure the car still steers exactly the same way it did before. Moving into Section 4, writing the operator's manual.
This brings us to the part of the engineering process that developers notoriously try to avoid with every fiber of their being: documentation. But there is a famous adage for a reason. Future you will thank present you for leaving a trail of breadcrumbs. Present you might be highly caffeinated and holding the entire architecture in your head right now, but future you, 6 months from now, yeah, they won't remember what that custom identity hook does. Brilliant code is utterly useless without a manual to tell others and yourself how to use it.
So what actually goes into a great module README file? Think of these as the mandatory ingredients, so future integrators don't have to read your raw source code just to figure out how to configure it. First, you need to clearly document your public interfaces and external functions. Next, you must outline access control expectations, like who is actually allowed to call the metadata update function. You also need to list configuration variables, like where those royalty basis points are set. And finally, you have to include versioning and change logs, so people actually know what was fixed and when. Which brings us to our final section, number 5, the final debug report.
This is where all of your rigorous testing, your meticulous gas tuning, and pristine documentation get compiled into a single beautiful artifact. You're going to create a markdown file, specifically diagnostics/debug-report/report.md. This simple text file is the ultimate proof of your engineering rigor. Think of it as a receipt containing a completely transparent table of the failing test you originally found, the exact commit hash of the fix you applied, and those beautiful before and after gas metrics we talked about. When an auditor or reviewer looks at your project, this is literally the very first file they want to see. So, before you even think about merging your code, you must pass this final validation checkpoint. First, you need absolutely 0 failing tests across all core behaviors. Second, your debug report must be fully populated with no blank sections. Third, your gas metrics must be accurately logged to prove your optimizations. And fourth, every single module README must be fully updated. Only when all 4 of these criteria are met is your debug branch truly ready to be merged cleanly for the capstone assembly. Which leaves us with one final very important question. Your raw parts are now thoroughly tested, finely tuned, and impeccably documented. So, are you ready for final assembly? You've built an incredibly hardened Web3 machine today. To keep mastering more advanced Web3 engineering concepts and to prepare for that final capstone assembly, be sure to visit forge.college to dive deeper into all of our resources. Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer, and I will see you in the next one.